What is up, beautiful people? How are you? My name is Coach Martinez.
And one day we will get this right. I promise.
Yeah, where's the we? Where's the
Sorry,
we? Where's the we? We are going to get this
I
right.
said, we? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we will get this right. But you know me, I'm Maria Bunt. I am your mindset BFF.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I am so excited for today's podcast.
Yeah,
You know why?
100%. Tell me.
Because we are in so much conflict around the world,
I know. I
right?
know. I feel
There's
like
so much.
it's
What's
been this
that?
whole pandemic. I feel like it's been so prevalent since the pandemic with so much stuff going on. And
Yeah.
then we add war to it right now. It's crazy.
I know, but so the truth of the reality is that this is gonna go away. I mean, that's the hopes and those are the prayers, right? It's gonna go away. But when it does go away, something else is just gonna take its place.
Mm,
Conflict will always arise. There will always be problems in the world. There will always be challenges with just our environment, our society, with each other. So now the question is, how do we resolve these things, right?
yeah.
Do you have like a system? Do you have like when you're fighting with Mike, you guys fight all the time. Like
All
every
the
time I
time.
go over, like you're throwing things at him. You're like,
Like, we used to fight a whole lot more before. We don't fight nearly as much now, but 100%. I think we shared it in a previous podcast where
okay,
one
hang on one
time
second. Just time out. Hang on one second. I was just taking shots. I wasn't being serious.
no,
I've never
100%,
seen
we fight. I think
I've never
fighting is
seen you guys
healthy.
fight. What?
I think fighting is healthy. This is my take, okay? This is my personal point of view, but I
Okay.
honestly think that conflict is healthy because sometimes there's just things that don't normally come up, and sometimes you need kind of that disruption in the flow in order to have it come up. Now, how you handle it, the words you say is very important, and how you resolve it is very important. But in my mind, conflict is an essential part of growth. That's what I think, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I okay. So again, I was just joking. I've never literally seen you guys fight.
Come on, do you remember that one time when you were at my kid's birthday party and you grabbed my arm and I thought it was Mike? Mike and I were fighting, and like Miguel goes to grab my arm to say hi, and I went like that. I was like, "Don't touch me," right? And I was like, "Oh, it's Miguel."
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that happened at one of my kids' birthday party. It was like a stressful situation. I don't even know what we were fighting about, but I remember being so stressed out, fighting, and then mistaking Miguel for Mike. And I was like, "Oh shoot, I just yelled at Miguel." Miguel was like, "Whoa."
I already have a wife I get this from. I don't need a second one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but no, we're much better now. Now we're good.
Wow. So what was your turning point?
You know what? I stopped assuming. I really try to stop assuming because sometimes I was getting upset with Mike, thinking like, "Well, doesn't he know that this is what I need? Doesn't he know that this is like what needs to happen?" But no, he can't read my mind. So I, instead of assuming, I started asking, and I really started focusing on the good stuff that he was doing. It's so
Mm,
easy to nitpick, and it's so easy to have this like minor things that are not happening that you'd like to happen to be blown up.
okay.
So my turning point was reading a book that talked about taking 100% accountability and it talked or responsibility. And he talked about responsibility being the fact that it's not necessarily that you're taking responsibility of what happened, but you're taking responsibility of how you're going to act. And he made it into two words. He said is that you're response able. So when I started thinking about that, I was like, okay, I'm annoyed right now. This is what happened. What can I do? And when I started focusing on the what can I do to alleviate the situation, I feel like it started getting a lot better and I started communicating a whole lot better too.
Which is the opposite, literally, of the resolution, right? So the conflict, there's always a sense of like I'm right and you're wrong. So if we
Yeah.
take a look at everything that's going on right now, right, with wars and rumors of wars or things maybe that's happening in your family, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but Marie and I, we have a spiritual podcast that takes place every Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. And we've been studying the Bible there, right? Especially in the Old Testament. And so the conflict resolution between, or the conflict between the brothers, Joseph and his brothers, right? Or
Yeah.
Isaac and Jacob. like all these different I don't want to say characters, but all these different people, there was
Yeah.
always a sense of I'm right and you're wrong,
Yeah.
and the other person has the exact same, well, no, I'm right and you're wrong. And so we see it now with gender, male versus females, black versus white, educated versus uneducated, vaccinated and unvaccinated. Like there's so much conflict out there.
Yeah, it's as soon as you put the whole us versus them,
Yeah.
it totally dehumanizes the other party, and then you end up nitpicking, and I think that's the problem when it comes to conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. The us versus them. So what are
Yeah,
some, yeah. So here's my question. So you said is that when you stopped assuming, that's when you and Mike found, or where you found that you were getting into less arguments with Mike.
yeah.
So you were assuming like what?
I was assuming he didn't care. I was assuming he wasn't listen. He like chose not to listen. I was assuming that he was trying to annoy me. I was assuming that he didn't care.
Hmm.
Really anything. I would just assume, or like that he thought that I should be doing everything around the house. That was a lot of the assumptions. But
Okay.
instead of assuming, it's always better to ask, because we can always assume a situation, and then it plays a trick on our mind. And how do we know that we're 100% right, right? We don't know that unless we ask. So I started asking instead.
Hmm. So for all those who are listening right now, we're talking about conflict resolution. We're talking about conflict, and then we're soon going to be talking about resolutions. Just some steps that you can take to really calm the fires, I guess you can say, right? It's
I run a hot fire, guys. Poor Mike.
you do not want to be anywhere in the neighborhood.
Oh, please. I am the kindest person ever. But you know what? I do have my moments, so I do have to be honest.
Well, I'm just joking. Really, I've never seen you like your fire. So I
That's reserved for Mike.
I will. Mike's hiding in some corner right now.
Poor guy. I'm just
Maria,
kidding.
can I come out?
I love you, babe. Shout out. Oh,
So for those who are listening, let me know, like, before we get into our resolutions or some of our keys to helping you out. Let us know anytime that you've been in conflict with anyone. What have you done specifically to help you kind of calm those fires down? Just yeah, let us know. We're super interested. Hit them on a comment, and we'll respond back.
yeah, absolutely. What have you
First,
done? You must have gotten into conflicts with Tegan. What do you do? Do
oh
you
man,
yell back? Do you shut down? Do you walk away?
so
Is it healthy, unhealthy?
I feel like confession right now. So how much should I tell you? So listen, when I was in high school, I was described as a walking or ticking time bomb.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude. I was super hot-headed. I was definitely heated. Um I just people annoyed me really, really quickly. Like, and so I'm definitely not gonna ask people here to describe me because I don't want to open up that can of worms,
I
right?
feel like I just don't
I,
wanna know.
I don't know who's watching, but but yeah, like I would get angry very, very fast. And I don't know if it was, when they say you are who you are because of either nature or nurture. And so I don't know. So my parents, I love them to death. I would take a bullet for them. But yeah, they between amongst them, they argued a lot, right? There was a lot of conflict between my parents, and I grew up watching that, right? So could have been nature, just my nature, or even just our culture. Like just literally the other day. So my mom lives with us, and she was talking to. This is, so this is hilarious. So my mom. So the way that our bedroom. So we have 5 bedrooms on the main floor, and pretty much the stairwell is in the center, and all the bedrooms are around,
Mhm.
and so it's almost like a C shape, right? And so our bedroom is on one end of the C, and my mom's bedroom is on the other side of the C. So there's only literally one wall that separates us both, right? And so was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. We're just laying there. We're Tegan's reading. She's answering text messages or whatever. And she says, "I think your mom's angry." And I go, "Oh," I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "Just listen." And we can hear her have a conversation where she's talking on the phone with somebody, and she was screaming. Like she was legit screaming at somebody, right? And then what?
But you know, Spanish people, like,
But
sometimes we get a little excited and we like
so
get
hang
off
on. Oh yeah.
watches.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Hang on. And this is where it got me scared, right? So here she is. She's screaming, and she, right? And we can't hear anything. And she goes, "I think you should go in there." I'm like, "I am not going in there. There's just no way. Not in the middle of her fire." And then I hear my name drop, and so I'm like, "I'm screwed. What did I do? Who is she talking to?" So here I am, a 43-year-old man, scared of their mother that I'm gonna get beats, right? And she's gonna put Vicks in my mouth again.
Okay, little quick side story. Uh, Miguel, like, Vicks cures everything to Hispanic people, right? You get a little here, a little in the sole of your foot, like a little like in the back here when you're sick. Like Miguel's mom took it next level. She like grabbed some and put it inside of his mouth when he was little.
Oh my gosh. I should have died like 10 times growing up. I'm telling you, I should sue her. Yeah,
Oh
like
my gosh, I died. I was like, we were talking about this the other day. I'm like, what? I'm like, that is not a normal Hispanic thing to do.
in El Salvador, legit, we had bottles of Vicks because Vicks can cure anything. And so
The original Windex.
you're, yeah, I would get it on right up on
Oh
my
yeah,
nose, on my
100% here.
chest, on my neck, the bottom of my feet and hands, whatever, and all these different things. And the last step was 2 fingers full of Vicks. And she would just go, and I knew the process, right? So when it was time, I was like, I'd just be waiting for it. And she would just like go in there
It
and
like
just,
it was an acquired it was an acquired taste by the end. Eh? You were like looking forward to
oh
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. By the end, like by the 2 years, I was like, yes, I'm sick. I'm getting Vicks in my mouth.
So those memories rush back when you heard your mom and you were thinking Vicks and
Oh
you're
yeah,
already like and
oh yeah,
outside the door.
oh yeah. I'm like, something's happening, right? And so taking to like go check her out, see what's wrong with her. I'm like, I ain't going in there. There's no way. She goes, no, no, I think she needs you. I'm like, I heard my name. I'm not going in
Oh
there.
my gosh, what happened?
And so the next day, I'm like, Mom, are you okay? She goes, oh yeah, I'm fine. And she goes, I'm like, who are you talking to? She goes, oh, my best friend, Nanette from Scarborough. And I'm like, and this is like legit her best friend, right? I go, were you guys angry at each other? She goes, no, we were telling jokes and we are talking about the times where you were small and how many kids you have now and just what you're doing for a living. And she goes, no, 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 we are just laughing and having a good time. I'm like, okay, legit. So but so I don't know. So again, our culture is just loud. And you're right. You hit it right on the nail, right? So we're just loud people, and so I don't know if it's because of culture or nurture, but yeah, I was a walking time bomb. And so if people got me angry, I would snap. My family wouldn't talk to me. They would just like literally stay away from me.
Oh
And I
my gosh,
recognized,
really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I really quickly realized it, right? And I don't know who said it, but it was somebody in my family who's like, we can't even talk to you. Like, if you get upset, you just explode on us. So why would we even have a conversation? And that was like a huge, massive deciding factor. Like this was towards the end of, actually, yeah, it was closer towards my mission. And so it was like around 18, 19. And I was like, I don't want to be known for this. And so anyways, it's hard to hear that, right? Like nobody
Yeah.
wants to socialize with you because the littlest things can get you angry.
Yeah, it's true. I was the same way though, I can't even lie. I was really negative. I remember one particular experience that pops up in my mind. I think I was 17 and I was a hostess at a restaurant and I had a lot of conflict with people. I don't even know why, right? But anyway, I walked into my hostess job and the girl that was there, I was like, oh, hi. And she's like, oh, hey, how was your day? And I was like, "Ah, it sucked. This. It was such a bad day. And then she turned to me and she's like, wow, you have a lot of bad days. And that I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. All I did was complain and got into conflict. I think that is the first time I
Yeah,
became aware of what I was saying and how I was reacting.
yeah.
I didn't change right away, it took me years, but nonetheless.
There's actually one time where I got it into like fist fight with my brother.
Oh, man, those are rough.
So he's 10 years older, right? And yeah, we just went at it. I grabbed him by the shirt. And so I'm a much taller guy. And so I just grabbed him by the shirt and I just pushed him up against the wall, and I was like ready to go at it. And he did the exact same to me, right? And so my dad just came out of nowhere, literally just flew in Superman and just did one of those Superman landings, and the
Yeah.
wave just opened us apart, kind of thing. And so yeah, yeah. So I was, so when, to answer your question, your original question about my conflicts, they were young, and then and it early in the marriage, I would have to say that they were very and I so okay. So going back again, so when I was growing up and I would see my parents fight all the time, I would tell myself, I don't want this. So when I get married, I don't want to be arguing with my parents. I don't want to be arguing with my spouse all the time. So that was a very conscious decision that I made, right?
Hmm.
And so when I finally got married, and then looking back, and so then when we started arguing early in the marriage, the first years, I think it's always the hardest.
Yeah.
You're trying to combine two totally different upbringings and trying to create your own traditions, and then if there's cultural differences there, then that becomes a challenge as well, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever. And I remember arguing, just thinking to myself, holy, like when I was younger, I this is what I didn't want and this is what I have. And so anyway, so I had to make a lot of, and there's a lot of self-reflection, and okay, what could I be doing better to not add to this, that I'm not adding to this relationship.
Just goes to show you that you can change at any point in life.
Yeah.
It's just becoming aware of how you react to things,
Yeah.
and then really trying to be as objective as you can. And I always think to myself, is this how I want other people to see me? It's always easier to try to do your best to kind of like calm the situation down than say whatever you want and then have to go back and repair a relationship. I always
Yeah.
think about it. I'm like, I rather not say sorry for something insensitive that I said and just like walk away, do whatever I need to, than having to come back and try to mend a relationship that's been broken because of the things that I've said in the heat of the moment. Because sometimes you just grasp at straws, not necessarily things that you mean, but you just want to
Yeah.
hurt the other person.
Have you ever, do you what are your thoughts on going to bed angry?
I have
So
gone to bed angry.
no, 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 but hang on one second. So hang on.
I was like,
after,
I
after I
do it all
beat
the
him,
time.
after I beat him with the stick, that's when I go to bed satisfied.
I
Yeah.
know, honestly.
So no, what I mean is, you know how there's like there's always that the advice, never go to bed angry.
Yeah, yeah,
What are
but
your thoughts on that?
oh my gosh. Like, I get it, like, I get the whole sense something could happen, I get it, but it's just for me, I understand it, and sometimes I don't want to go to bed angry, but it just happened the other day. I got upset over something stupid with Mike, right? But I knew that if I talked to him or try to work it out at that time and day, I wasn't gonna be working it out. I was just gonna do one of those things to just try to say things that were hurtful, and I don't like it when I do that. So instead, I just took a few deep breaths and tried my best to fall asleep, and then the next morning when I woke up, I felt better. So I don't know, like, I get the mindset behind never going to bed angry, but at the same time, for me, I'm like, I rather go to bed angry and not say something hurtful and then deal with it the next day when I'm less tired.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard, I've been, and people, who's ever, again, so who's ever logging in, we're talking about conflict resolutions and things like that. And right now we're at the part, so this whole month we're talking about families and family relations. And so, podcast two is, you're going to have conflict amongst family.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're talking about now is, when you get into an argument with a family member, one of the advice that they always tell me, that I've always heard my entire life: never go to bed angry. um
I know,
I
what do people do? What do you guys do? Okay, if
I'm
you
not.
guys are hearing us, let me know, like, what do you guys do? Do you guys go to bed angry? Do you try to work it out? Just work it out the next day? I personally don't work it out. Let's hear Miguel. What do you do?
I'm so again, this is me. I'm no prophet. I'm no, psychologist, or I haven't done any studies on this or whatever. But personally, for me, I need to go to bed. I can't, if I'm angry or I'm hot, I'm heated, and I'm just like, we're not seeing eye to eye. We've tried all these different avenues. We've tried talking it out. A lot of the time, see, you're so busy during the day, like, you're being pulled in different directions. With me, I'm a business owner. I have staff, I got family. I got church responsibilities. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have to go to the gym. So I'm being pulled in all these different directions. Let's say sometimes the fight happens at nighttime. I don't have any more to give, right? And so trying to conflict. I'm trying to resolve conflict with like fumes running in the system. And so I need to reset personally myself. I need to reset. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I'll go to bed angry, but then I'll wake up in the morning feeling refreshed, brand new thoughts in mind. Maybe, I'll say my prayers. Something will come up in the morning, or may have a dream or something, whatever. But now I'm in a much better position to deal with the situation in the morning. A good night's rest can mean the difference between like a big explosion or just the resolution itself, right?
Oh, 100%. Here, I want to share Emily's comment right here. She's so right. Like, she's so right. So she says, sometimes the whole reason for the conflict is that you're tired and emotional. So we need sleep and clear our heads.
Emily, high five.
I
Bam.
know, honestly, 100%. And I like Nicole's comment here too. So she says 24-hour rule helps us to get into the green zone. Absolutely.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm like, they both deal with time, right? Because I'm like, if you are in a place where you're heated, your emotions are getting the best of you, when you're emotional, you can't see clearly. No
Yeah,
matter how well equipped you are to handle conflict, if
yeah.
you reach a state where you're just emotional, it's always better to walk away. That's what like a good night's rest and having the 24-hour rule. 100% agree.
So I like Nicole because it actually. So let me tell you a quick story. So this is so perfect, the 24-hour rule, right? And to get into the green zone. So when you are in the middle of the fire, again, especially if you're in the middle of Maria's fire, you're getting burnt, right? You're getting
My fire's
something. You're getting something thrown at you. It's gonna happen. So,
Oh my gosh. Oh, so bad. I've had really bad fights, guys. Like, I am ashamed of those fights. Anyway, go ahead.
no, hang on. Even so, in the theme of throwing. So this is actually another story. Yesterday we were having dinner, and Seth gave Tegan, like my wife, a wet willy, and Tegan's like, "If you do that again, I
Did she
know."
punch him? I would have punched him. Like, I hope she punched him. I'm like,
So we're all scared for Seth. Seth is my oldest, right? And we're like, everybody's saying, "Seth, don't do it again." And I'm in the background, like, "Do it again," right? So she punches me, right? She goes, "Don't tell him that." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't tell him anything." Anyways, so he gets the courage enough, and he gives her another where Willie. Honestly, Tegan was just like, she grabs a butter knife and starts chasing Seth. So we're all laughing our heads off, right? Seth is like, "Dad, help, help." I'm like, "I don't want any part of that." And so she sits down, we're laughing. But to Nicole, the reason why I mentioned this, to Nicole's point, the 24-hour rule in the green zone, when you're angry, you don't make good decisions, right? So here's my wife chasing my son with a butter knife. Now, the the there's also something else that you may have heard is never punish while you're angry. Like if you're gonna give your kids a punishment, like I don't mean punishment, but like spanking them or anything like that.
like a
But
consequence for their
like
behavior.
exactly a consequence for your behavior, sending them to the room or all that stuff. Never do it while you're angry because that punishment is never uh in the green zone. It's never achievable. That's it. You're not eating for a week. Go to your room. It's like that's not happening, right? Or
Just like me and my youngest, whenever we get into like, I have a 5-year-old, she is fire. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
She is me, but in a miniature version and with like a lot less tools to handle her fire.
yeah,
So her and I fight so much. And sometimes I'm like, that's it. You're never having candy again. Go upstairs. Or the other day, she wouldn't have breakfast. I was like, you're not going to school. I was like,
no,
she was
those are
going to
not.
school, but I'm like,
Yeah,
it was so illogical.
those are very illogical, non-obtainable punishments, right? And so the rule is take 18 to 24 hours to calm down as a parent, think about what's happened, talk about it with your partner if there's a partner in your life, and if there isn't, discuss with a friend or whatever, my child did this, and reach out to somebody, and then think of the best practice or best thing that you can do to help course correct that child's decision. but while you're spewing a punishment during your fire, it's it's not obtainable, right? And then the other thing that happens is that if you tell your child, that's it, we're leaving without you, it's not going to happen, right? You're never going to. And then when you break that, oh, this is your punishment, and you break it, then now your child sees, well, mom or dad never really, you
Follow
know,
through.
follow through, right? So now you're just a pushover as a parent, right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. That's why I really try. Like, it's been so bad. I will tell you, I'm no perfect parent, but there was one time I was really butting heads with my third, and he was having a hard time, and I was so upset, and he was so angry, and he was screaming at me, and I was screaming at him, and it just escalated to such a point. I feel so bad, and I'm like, and I did not hit him, okay? And I knew I threw a slipper, and I knew I wasn't gonna hit him, like 100%, right?
Yeah, you
But
threw it left field. Yeah.
like obviously I'm not, but I like threw it like say this is him, right? I like threw it way out here, knowing it wasn't gonna hit him, but his poor little face. Like I always told myself I would never do that, and then look at me, I totally did it. But
Yeah.
after that, I'm like, when you succumb to those feelings and that anger, it no longer becomes about your child or about the other person. It becomes about you and trying to make yourself feel better. At least when I'm like trying to deal conflict, I try to, or when I'm not dealing well with conflict, it is about me trying to feel better by punishing someone else. So it's never a good place
Interesting.
to be.
Now, Emily here made another interesting comment here. She go, conflict with your 4-year-old is honestly the biggest challenge. I don't have much conflict with my husband, but my son is a whole nother story.
Preach.
Emily,
Oh
oh my
my God.
gosh. So right now, so I'll tell you this. I hopefully my kids don't have Facebook, so they don't know that I'm talking about them. But the they don't, like, whatever, who cares? But I've been butting, and I told you guys this. I've been butting heads a lot with my second. My
Yeah.
second, I love him to death. He is my snuggler, right? Like anytime that I'm laying down, he wants to snuggle. But he is a teenager now, and he's gone into this thing where, he likes to be right. He likes to be the smartest one in the room, and he is. He's very, very smart. Out of all of our kids, he is legit the smartest one, academically, right? And so, and I always tell him, smart and wisdom are two different things. Smart, books and all that other stuff. Wisdom is through experience. And I'm like, there's nothing that I go, you can't compare the lifespan of a 43-year-old to a 14-year-old. I am going to know more, right? I've experienced more. And so we've been butting heads. Anyways, we talked last night. We've been hashing, we've been butting heads for about a week and a half now. But last night we're just getting ready to watch a show. We sat down and we're like, okay, dude, like, this is what's going on. I'm really, really struggling with you here, right? I don't want to be a bad dad. I want to talk this out. And Seth, my oldest, got involved as well in the conversation. And yeah, we fixed it. And I think that's the biggest rule to
So what did
conflict.
you like? What was the resolution? Did you guys?
So so I love this kid, man. He's gonna make me cry. But he said, so I told him, I'm like, you know what, I love you. And if it means, if talking to you means that we're gonna get into an argument, then I'd rather just watch you behind a glass door and not be so involved. Because and I told him, I go, I'm afraid that if I talk to you, we're just gonna end up arguing, right? And so he's like listening and all these different things. I go, so what do I do? Do I parent through a glass door, or do I become an involved dad, or do I stay as an involved dad? And so where he's listening to me and whatever, and he goes, well, and he starts smiling and he goes, what did he say? He says, it was a story that I told him about my relationship with my father that years ago, that what did I say? When my father was speaking, I always listened, not because he was right, was because I respected him and because I loved him. And then I'm not going to have my father around my whole life. So I told him this about 3 years ago, and that story kicked in while I was talking to him. And so he realized that respect is more important than being right. And so he said that he needs to humble himself. He needs to realize that I am his father and all this other stuff. So, anyways, I was in the board of tears. He was tears as well. We were all like, it was such a wonderful spirit.
Oh my gosh! Talk
Yeah.
about the feels, eh?
Yeah,
And that shows you that your kids are always listening indirectly, right? You share
that's it.
stories, but you planted a seed and now he's like, "Okay."
Yeah, something I told him, 3 years ago came up in a conversation yesterday, not realizing that he was gonna make that correlation, right? But, kids are always listening. So but that I think that's my so when we're talking about conflict resolution, I think the first point is listen.
Yeah.
You need to listen to the other person's what they're saying, and, when you get into a position like, "I'm right, you're wrong," and vice versa, you stop listening to your partner or that person that who you love, and, you're gonna struggle there.
Yeah, so Mike and I were watching this movie called Duel on Disney Plus, right? It's really intense. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's this whole storyline about three different people, same situation, and you kind of get the different perspective of what happened. It's really intense. Like usually I don't watch movies like that, but nonetheless, there's this one situation where it's a wife and the husband, and the husband's always has a huge desire to always be right, and he's like, no, this is right, this is what I'm doing, I'm defending because this is the right thing to do. So
Yeah,
they have a child, and they're like, now they're facing a situation where she might die because doing the right thing might actually the husband was doing it out of pride because he's like, this is the right thing. And one of the lines that impacted me the most is that she's like sitting with her baby, and she said, she's like, you know what? She's like, to me, it's more important to be a mother than to be right. And I'm
mm,
like, dang, like, we really sometimes is it more important the relationship that we have with our child, with our friend, with our husband, with our significant other? Is that more important, or is it more important to be right? And
right.
when you look at it that way, I think our priorities may change and we may be able to, even if we're right, like we may be able to be a little more humble and be like, you know what, they just look at it a different way and that's okay.
Yeah.
So
And Emily, you're absolutely right. You're not alone in your mom's struggles, right? And, when it comes to dad's struggles as well, we are kids did not come with a manual, right?
yeah,
So that's your number one thing, right? And so out of everything that we've talked about today, one thing that I'm personally, so this is my takeaway, right? Is never engage in argument while you are heated, right? Whether it's with your child, whether it's with a loved one, whether it's with a partner or a spouse, whether it's with a parent who's ever listening to my voice, you and I love what Nicole said, get into that green zone. You got to take a step back and just be like, you know what, let me just walk away. I love my Jeep, and sometimes I just have to ride up north, go for an hour drive, and then come back. And I come back with a different mindset. Oh, I'm going to the gym, and that's I just have to go punch this thing out, right, and just go hit the weights. So
yeah,
always take a step back. Never engage in conversation while it's still red in the red zone. Calm down. If it takes a good night's sleep, if it takes 24 hours, then do that and then revisit it under a different spirit.
yeah,
And you may not, for those who are listening, that you may not be Christians or not, but there's a Bible verse or scripture verse that says that contention is the spirit of the devil, right? And so whether you believe in the scriptures or not, just contention is not going to get you anything, especially if the author is the devil.
yeah. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Just wanted to share a quick tool that I use when I do feel really angry and really heated. And I recently learned it is a 90-second rule. And so the 90-second rule is that you divide it into three segments of 30 seconds. So when you feel yourself getting heated, getting into a state that you know you're kind of heading down a path of annoyance, anger, whatever negative feeling is coming up, first 30 seconds you're going to use to deep breathe. Deep breathing, what happens, interrupts that negative thought process because we get into a loop. As soon as we start having those anger thoughts, more anger thoughts come in, and like it kind of just feeds itself. So you want to make sure that you interrupt that thought process. So
Yeah.
get into a zone, do some nice deep breathing for 30 seconds, okay? Then the next 30 seconds, what you're going to do, you're going to do movement. Movement is going to interrupt the thought process as well.
Yeah.
So if you're at home, if you're outside, whatever it is, like start marching, walking around, go outside, do whatever you have to do, jumping jacks, anything, just 30 seconds, anything that gets your heart pumping. So now you've introduced a second thought. It's not a thought inhibitor, but a thought interrupter, right? And then the third moment, the third thing you want to do is you want to focus on gratitude. Okay, so this is the thing about gratitude, right? The more you focus on the good, it's natural that your body's going to experience those positive feelings. Sometimes it's hard when you're in the heat of the moment or you're angry with your child, with your spouse, with your friend to think of positive things, but try to reflect on anything that's positive, a positive memory, a positive, like anything you're grateful for, anything, and hold on to those seconds, to those thoughts for 30 seconds and try to experience them within. After the 90 seconds, you will feel better. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it as well. Okay. So if you try it and you're like, this is not working, just remember that it's a process for your body to get used to it, but you are in the right path. And the key to trying to end an argument or trying to become better in those moments is interrupting that thought pattern. So I
Yeah.
just had to share that with you guys.
Yeah. Love it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us. These are amazing comments. We have here Nicole Bannister says, oh, let me check here. Let me put her comment. This is so good. She says, communication is something I teach my students. So she's a teacher. That's amazing. And it's also something I work on every day. So thank you for recognizing that. One of the things that has impacted me the most is understanding that listening is fully different than hearing
Hmm.
and processing. Yes.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old says his heart feels different when he listens to hear as opposed to hearing to listen.
What?
Wow. Okay, so
Oh my gosh.
we got our next prime minister here, this 8-year-old. So
Oh
oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh. Can
Yes.
you can you imagine if our world leaders had this exact same thought process right there, right?
Yeah.
It feels different to when he listens to hear opposed to hearing to listen. Absolutely.
That's so good. I'm actually gonna reflect on how I feel every time I'm just hearing and listening. That's such a good insight.
Yeah. Yeah. And since sometimes you need to, Terry Stapleton says here, sometimes you need to agree to disagree and show respect to both opinions. I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for logging on with us. Today has been absolutely amazing and interesting, our conversation and our stories. So don't judge us too much, right? We're humans just like yourself.
Please don't tell me that I threw a slipper on my kid. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
And if you see my mom, don't complain that she used to feed me Vicks. So if you have
Don't
no idea
tell him.
what yeah, don't tell her. Please, she lives with me now.
Miguel
And
doesn't want
so
to get beaten.
I don't. But listen, we just make sure you check us out at mtclife.com. If you have any questions or anything like that, just here's our info is info@mtclife.com, and we'll be more than happy to connect with you. Also, any of our handling feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe to all of our content. And we have a brand new website with a store. We got some merch, we got some gear, we got some bathroom placemats that said today will be awesome. So a lot of positivity when you first wake up in the morning, and it really changes the way that just how you view life and everything. Every time you make one of these purchases, it supports and shares. It supports the program, and supports us and our podcast. So again, make sure you're liking our contact and you're getting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And follow us on our Instagram handles, which are right here.
Right there. Oh yeah, our Instagram handle. So coach at mtc life dot or mtc life, and then Maria is Maria Bunt. Don't make sure you don't make the same mistake that I did and put Maria Blunt. So
My gosh.
something
Yes.
else came up.
When I married Mike, he was like, "You're gonna have to spell your last name," and I was like, "Really? Why?" And I was like, "Oh, now I know why."
Yeah,
Every time I'm like, "I'm Bunt," that's Bunt. Oh, Nicole, thank you so much. Thank you for being, for all your comments. Terry, thank you to everybody that participated today in the podcast. We appreciate it. We've learned from you. We've grown together. So we're so grateful for you guys.
awesome. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching with us, and have an amazing rest of the day. Later,
Absolutely.
leaders.
Bye.
Bye.